Hey, this is Stacey Hall from staceyhall.com. Ever show a prospect your presentation and they're super excited to get started, but then they hit you up with the "I have no money" objection? Don't worry, I'm going to help you learn to overcome that objection today. But before we get started, I just want to encourage you to go and subscribe to my channel while you're here, because I do put out regular, great free trainings for you to help you build your business. Okay, so I have no money. When you get that objection, it kind of stings, right? Because it's not always so easy to know how to handle it. Well, in fact, there are a number of different ways that you can deal with this objection and overcome it quite successfully. And which you choose really just depends on your personal preference and where you're at with your level of posture and confidence, okay? So I'm going to share with you 3 methods that I've had success with and that I know people have had success with, and you can just choose the one that's best for you. Before we get into the meat and potatoes, I just want to call your attention to 2 really important things you might want to consider. If you're getting the no money objection a lot, you might want to have a look at your own attitudes surrounding money. Your own maybe limiting beliefs, things that have been entrenched in your psyche, in your thought processes since you were little, surrounding money. Like the age-old adage that money is evil, money is the root to all evil, stuff like that. It can leave an imprint. And so if your personal attitudes towards money and making money need a bit of work, that's going to reflect on your business. Whether you realize it or not, we emit an energy to people when we're talking to them, and they're picking up on that, even if they're not aware of it. And that can totally affect the outcome. It's interesting to note that the objection that you get most often is typically the same objection you gave when you were presented with your current opportunity. Pretty cool, right? There's definitely something to that. And the second thing I'd call your attention to is that if you're getting this objection a lot, it's possible you're just prospecting the wrong people. Right? It's wonderful that we all want to save the world, but the fact of the matter is we cannot build a team full of broke people, right? So you need to prospect up as much as you possibly can to avoid that happening. So just have a look at those 2 things and see if maybe there's something you could tweak there. All right, without further ado, 3 different possible methods that you can choose to overcome the no money objection. The first one I'm going to share with you is called the straight to the point approach. This is one that I actually learned from Ray Higdon originally, and the idea here is that one surmises that when somebody gives you that objection, typically they're kind of fibbing, right? They're kind of telling you a white lie because they're saying that they don't have the money, but usually they do, and usually it's just an excuse to stall or to spare your feelings. So in order for you to determine which one it really is, you're going to ask one simple question. Are you ready? You're going to say this. Are you trying to get in or are you trying to get out? That's it. Simple, right? Are you trying to get in or are you trying to get out? So what this does is it's basically asking the prospect, listen, are you looking for a way out because you're trying to spare my feelings? Because you don't need to do that. It's totally cool. If you're really not seeing an opportunity for yourself, you can just let me know, right? The person is going to tell you either way. If they are saying that they really are interested in what you're presenting, but they actually don't have the money, then you need to sort of qualify a little bit further. So you're going to say to them, okay, so I appreciate you telling me that you don't currently have the funds. So are you saying that if you did have the money, you'd be ready to get started with us today? And if they say yes, then you say, okay, cool. So I just want to really confirm here. Are you saying that right now you currently don't have $500 or whatever the startup cost is for you in your bank account or on a credit card that would enable you to get started today? Let them answer. If they say, yeah, I kind of do, then you're kind of flushing out the original objection, the real objection. But if they say, no, I seriously don't, I just don't, then you're going to ask them this. How far off are we? That is so powerful. Think about it. If it's a $500 startup cost, for example, thinking about trying to come up with $500 when somebody says they don't have the money, that seems like a lot, right? It seems like a far off number. But if you ask them how far off are we, oftentimes you'll discover that they do have some, they just don't have the whole amount. So if they say to you, oh, well, I have $420. Cool, awesome. So we're actually only short $80. Let's brainstorm and think of ways that we can come up with that $80 so that you have the money to get started today. Right? So now you know where you are. It's a whole lot easier to think about coming up with $80 than it is to think about coming up with the whole amount. So that's method 1. So the second method is called the 3-step CAB method. I learned a method similar to this from the amazing Tanya Eliza. I really like this one because it works well even for people who are still working on developing their confidence. So you may find this particularly useful. So it has 3 steps, just like the name implies. Clarify is step 1. 2 is ask and create an action plan. And step 3 is BAMFAM. I know it sounds weird. Don't worry if you don't know what that is, because I'm going to clarify all of that for you. So let's look at step 1, which is clarify. You really want to establish what the issue really is before you can move forward with this person, okay? So when they say, I'm super excited, I love it, it's all awesome, but I have no money to get started. You're going to say to them, okay, Mr. Prospect, I really appreciate you telling me that you have no money to get started, but let me ask you quickly. If money were no object, are you saying that you actually do see an opportunity for yourself and you'd be ready to get started with me today? Because if you're telling me that you don't have the money as a way to spare my feelings, I'm a big girl, I can handle it. I need to know for sure that you really do see an opportunity for yourself and you really want to get going with this, and that it's only money standing in the way. Because if that's it, if it's just the money that's standing in the way, that's not the end of the world. I can help you come up with an action plan to come up with that money and get you going on this thing right away. Right? So essentially what you're doing is you're trying to really feel it out. If the person is trying to spare your feelings, you just gave them a way out, right? Super simple. At least then you get to the bottom of it. If the person truly is interested and it is money, then you're going to move on to step 2, which is ask and create an action plan. What are you asking? Well, the same thing in method 1. How far off are we? Right? Because typically it's not the whole amount that they can't come up with. It's just that they don't have all of it, right? So find out what that number is and then devise the action plan to make it happen. What you want to do is help them. Get them thinking out of the box. Get them thinking creatively about ways that they can come up with funds. Share stories of people in your team who have done just that. It always feels good to know that you're not alone in your struggles, right? So if they can hear stories of people who were in the same position and overcame it, that's super powerful. Maybe they can find things to sell. Maybe they can offer a service. The point is to get them thinking outside the box. So once you've sorted that out, you're going to say to them, okay, so what we need to do now is to book a reconnect date. A date when you and I are going to reconnect. We're going to aim to have the funds completely pulled together by that date, and we're going to get you started with the team. We're going to welcome you to the team. So I'm going to put that date in my calendar right now. You're going to put that date in your calendar right now, and we're going to reconnect on that date and get you started. Sound good? Okay, the purpose of this, of course, is to solidify. You want them to commit to that so that it's now gelled in their mind, right? Which is perfect. So we call that the BAMFAM. That's step 3. BAMFAM stands for book a meeting from a meeting, and it forms the foundation of how everyone in my company is trained. The purpose of BAMFAM is you never leave your current situation without knowing what the next step is. People need to know what you expect from them or they'll do nothing. So now you've booked the reconnect date. Super duper important. Before you let them go, this is what makes method 2 really special. You're going to say a little something. You're going to leave them with a little something that's going to wax inside there and get them thinking in the best way. You're going to say to your prospect, okay, we've got the reconnect date booked, and we're going to reconnect on that date, obviously. I'm not going to bug you between now and then, but I'm going to encourage you to get creative, to get into action, and see if you can't pull those funds together even earlier. I'm super impressed by people who show leadership qualities, and it makes me extra excited to work with them. If you're able to do that, reach out to me sooner, and I promise to make time for you. Ha ha! So powerful. Because now it's getting them realizing that they are capable of coming up with solutions. They're not locked in here. And it also encourages them to think like a leader because everybody wants to be impressive, right? They want to impress you. So you're posturing up, you're taking on the leadership role, and they're feeling that. And you're also encouraging them to push a little bit harder. All good, right? So that's method 2. Okay, method number 3. Method 3 is called the what if method. I originally learned something similar to this from Matt Morris, and the basic idea behind the what if method is that you are presenting a what if scenario to your prospect to get them thinking about their own no money objection, right? To think about the real reasons behind it and if they're being totally legit. So here's what that looks like. When your prospect says, "Oh, this looks awesome, I love it, but I have no money to get started," you're going to say, "Okay, I really appreciate you telling me that you don't have the money to get started today. Let me ask you a question. If I were about to give you a $150,000 Ferrari right now, and I gave you 24 hours to come up with $500, and for $500 I was gonna let you walk away with that car forever, would you find a way to come up with the funds?" 9 times out of 10, the person's gonna say, duh, of course I would. Who wouldn't if they could get a $150,000 car for $500, right? So then you're gonna say to them, so it's not really that you can't come up with the money then, is it? In that situation, it's a question of your prospect not finding something to make it matter enough, to get it to matter more to that person, to be more helpful to them overall. He says this, "Let me just do a little coaching with you here if you don't mind. The decisions that you made or didn't make 2 to 3 years ago got you to where you are today. And the decisions that you do or do not make today are going to get you to where you're going to be in 2 to 3 years from now. Why don't we find a way to come up with the $500 and get you going and into some income so that $500 is never going to stand in the way of you and what you want ever again in your life?" Doesn't that make sense? If a $500 decision is going to make or break you, that's a problem. Okay, so what do you think about that? Pretty impactful, right? It's pretty effective because it really gets the person digging deep. This one is not my personal favorite approach, and I'll tell you why. It's a teensy bit of a dig, right? Which is powerful. And if you have the posture and confidence and you feel good in that method, go for it. It's very successful and effective for a lot of people. I'm just being upfront when I tell you it's not typically the one that I use. I usually go with method number 2. Anyhow, my friends, 3 very, very impactful methods that you can choose from. I hope that was helpful. I hope you got value. Please share with anyone that you think might benefit. If anybody on your team is getting this objection a lot, this could really help them. There should be a share button somewhere around this video. I really enjoyed hanging out with you on this episode. I hope to catch you on the next one. If you haven't headed on over to my blog, if that's not where you are right now, head on over to stacyhall.com. That's where I live. You will have an opportunity while you're there, if you would like, to download my Facebook Prospect Attraction Blueprint, which is going to help you fill your funnel with amazing people to talk to that are going to come to you so you don't have to chase them. Doesn't that sound great? All right, my friends, see you on the next one. Have a great day. Bye for now.